Have a meeting, folks. Good evening, Farmington Hills, and welcome to our September 9th, 2024 City Council meeting. We are calling our session to order, and we always begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, we are honored to have two scouts, Arthur and Noah, who are going to come up to the podium and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up, Jensen, and talk into the microphone, please. Pull it down to you. All right, start us out.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen, and good luck on your badge that you're working toward. They were required to attend a public meeting.
Oh, good job.
Okay, roll call, please.
Council members Aldred,
Here.
Olaware. Here. Bridges.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Dwyer.
Here.
Noel. Here. Mayor Rich.
Here.
Thank you.
And then that takes us to approval of the regular session meeting agenda. Do we have a motion? Dr. Bruce?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would approve the agenda with as published with removal of consent agenda item number 7.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, this has been moved by Dr. Bruce, supported by Ms. Knoll. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. We have two proclamations. We have the proclamation on National Suicide Prevention Month, which will be read by Dr. Bruce, and then National Recovery Month will be read by Mr. Aldred.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whereas September is known as National Suicide Prevention Month and is intended to help raise awareness surrounding suicide prevention resources available in the community, and whereas World Suicide Prevention Day is observed on September 10th, and whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background, and whereas according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, more than 48,000 people died by suicide in 2021. And whereas in 2021, suicide was among the top 9 leading causes of death for people ages 10 to 64, and the second leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 14 and 20 to 34. And whereas organizations like the National Alliance for Mental Illness and National Suicide Prevention Lifeline 988 work to help individuals in crisis and provide resources to shed light on this highly stigmatized topic. And whereas every member of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. And whereas Oakland County Health Network, OCHN, is committed to bring a zero suicide organization and cultivate a network of providers who are engaged in the zero suicide philosophy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as National Suicide Prevention Month in the City of Farmington Hills, and encourage community members to increase awareness and understanding of suicide prevention and the need for appropriate and accessible services to assist individuals in crisis.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce. And the next proclamation, National Recovery Month, Mr. Aldred.
Thank you. National Recovery Month, September 2024. Whereas, according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, in 2022, 17.3% of Americans, or 48.7 million people, 12 years or older, were classified as having a substance abuse disorder, including 29.5 million people who were classified as having an alcohol use disorder and 27.2 million people who were classified as having a drug use disorder. And whereas, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, over 107,000 overdose deaths occurred in the US in 2023. And whereas substance abuse recovery is important for individual well-being, as well as for families, friends, communities, and businesses. And whereas Oakland County Health Network, OCHN, continues to educate and raise awareness of the risks and potential harm associated with prescription drug misuse. And whereas stigma and stereotypes associated with substance abuse disorders often keep people from seeking treatment that could improve their quality of life. And whereas substance use disorders occur when the recurrent use of alcohol and/or other drugs cause clinically or functionally significant impairment, such as health problems, disability, and failure to meet major responsibilities at work, home, school, or home. And whereas substance abuse disorder recovery is a journey of healing and transformation, enabling people to live in a community of their choice while striving to achieve their full potential. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as National Recovery Month and call upon our community to increase their awareness and understanding of substance use disorders and the need for appropriate and accessible services to promote recovery.
Thank you very much. And these will both be accepted by Bernard K. Hooper, JD, MAE. You'll have to tell us what those are, please, and then come get your certificates, please. Chief Administrative and Corporate Compliance Officer at Oakland Community Health Network. Mr. Hooper, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the Commission. I am the Chief Administrative Officer and also the Chief Corporate Compliance Officer for Oakland Community Health Network. On behalf of the network, we would like to thank you very much for supporting us in the work that we do in fighting stigma around the issues of behavioral health and substance use disorder, and also in partnering with us to remind the community that we have resources to support them as they struggle through these issues. Many of us, those in this room, know someone who has met with these challenges, and they must understand that Oakland Community Health is here to support them and to help them. We provide services to 29,000 individuals throughout Oakland County. Our services stem primarily from individuals who have intellectual and developmental disabilities, those who have severe mental illness, as well as individuals with substance use disorder. And we look forward to advancing and developing more resources throughout the community that are accessible and that help individuals live their best life. And their best life may not be what everyone thinks or what you may see, but it is the opportunity to aspire to the goal that they have for themselves. With that, we look to growing our network. We've been working most recently on justice initiatives, which are our most impressive programs, where we have co-responders that are riding with police officers in the field and support them in de-escalating issues where individuals are experiencing crisis. We also are looking at ways to provide support for children when children are themselves in crisis. As you know, there's a shortage of inpatient facilities throughout the state, and we're providing short-term stay facilities where individuals can have an opportunity to de-escalate, use the outpatient facilities, and to ultimately live in the community in the way that they need to. We appreciate and thank you for these resolutions, and we look forward to partnering with you and continuing to support Farmington Hills. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper. And thank you for the continuation of the good work of your organization. Please pass along the thanks of our city. Next item on the agenda is an annual treat for us. Under the topic announcements, presentations from city boards, commissions, and public officials. This is the presentation of breast cancer awareness shirts to city council by the fire department. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, and City Manager Mection. Every year, your career firefighters design a brand new breast cancer awareness t-shirt. You'll see our staff in the fall wearing them on both runs and then off duty. Joining me this evening are two members of the career staff, Sergeant Chevrolet and Sergeant Steen, who will go ahead and show you this year's design and also go ahead and tell you the great things that their charity is doing in the community.
Good evening. My name is Robin Charette. Been with the department now a little over 12 years, and I've been doing the breast cancer shirts. This is my 11th year now doing this. We started this back in 2013. All the proceeds that we do make go directly to now is Corwell Health Foundation. We make sure that it goes directly in there, not a giant fund. It helps local women in Farmington Hills. They've given us like receipts and shown us what our money is going towards. We've paid bills, we've covered co-pays, and we've even purchased wigs. 2 years ago, some of our money went towards a mammogram machine, which was like $10,000. Over the past 11 years, we've raised a little over $30,000 so far. As the chief said, we'll be wearing these t-shirts from now through the month of October to support breast cancer awareness. You'll be able to buy these shirts online. I have flyers with QR code. We have t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and sweatshirts, all different prices. The shipping is included in the price, so it'll ship right directly to your house. Does anybody have any questions? I did bring a shirt for all the members up top, if you would like to ask any questions. No?
Nope.
All right. I'll hand this over to Steen. I'll hand these up to you, if that's all right.
All righty. And thank you very much. And just starting, because we know it's a charity, we'll start with that and look forward to the announcement of what you're able to raise this year. Thank you for the good work.
Thank you.
Mary, you're making it all look bad. You're making it all look bad there.
Well then, okay, pony up, council. Let's go, let's go.
Checks in the mail for you, okay? Well, all council members.
Yeah, all council members have committed to support. So thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. For those who do not know me, my name is Kevin Steen. I've been with the Farmington Hills Fire Department since 2008. I'm the treasurer of our charity fund, as well as the vice president of the Farmington Hills Firefighters Association. In January 2023, we started the Farmington Hills Firefighters Charity Fund, a 100% volunteer 501c3 organization. We created this charity with the sole purpose of serving the residents of Farmington Hills. As first responders in this city, we see people at their greatest time of need. At times, those needs extend beyond what can be done and provided during a brief emergency response. This charity fund has allowed us to go beyond the call, providing direct and impactful services to the people of this city. I'd like to take this opportunity to share some of the work we've been doing. As Rob mentioned, he's been working hard designing, promoting, and selling our yearly breast cancer awareness shirts. He really does an awesome job every year. First program I'd like to talk about is Feeding Seniors. This is a program that provides food, including turkeys and all the fixings for low-income senior citizens during the holiday season. We partner with Meyer at 8 and Haggerty, Kroger Corporate, and Teresa Jurgovich at the city's senior center. We then hand deliver the turkeys to each senior's doorstep. This is a truly special event to be a part of. What may seem like just a turkey to some of us means the world to others. You can see how meaningful it is when many of them have tears in their eyes upon seeing what we brought. Next program is our winter weather warm-up. So we can all relate to how inconvenient power outages can be, but in the winter months, without a working furnace, these power outages can be dangerous. So with donations from Mr. Heater, Home Depot, True Value Hardware, we have assembled ready-to-go kits filled with flashlights, lanterns, and blankets. We distributed 7 of these kits this past winter. Fortunately, it was a pretty mild season, so we have plenty more kits that we'll continue to donate this upcoming year. After the Fire is a program that provides hotel accommodations and other essentials to victims of house fires. While the American Red Cross also provides this type of service, we step in when they are unavailable. In one specific case, we partnered with the Good Fellows of Farmington, not only providing a hotel stay, but also finding semi-permanent housing and furnishing the individual's new home. Beyond the Call is a program that gives any firefighter the freedom to provide financial assistance to any citizen in need during a call for service, whether it's a medical emergency, vehicle accident, water damage, or other situation. While I won't go into all the details, one specific incident a few months ago stands out. We were called to assist citizen assist, a lift assist. And when the crew arrived, they found the patient had slipped and fallen due to a broken toilet water line. After assessing the patient, lifting her up, turning off the water, and assisting with the cleanup, the crew returned to her home after their shift and installed a new water line. Our newest program, and my personal favorite, is Heroes on Wheels. With a generous donation from Guardian Bikes, this program provides brand new bikes and helmets to underprivileged and well-deserving children. So please keep an eye out for this as we plan on launching this program in the coming months. I'd also like to add that over the past 18 months, we have also donated over $12,000 to multiple deserving charities, including the Muscular Dystrophy Association, CARES Food Pantry, and Bluestone Children's Center. Lastly, approximately 1 year ago, this City Council approved the Farmington Hills Firefighters Charity Fund for a Michigan charitable gaming license. During that time, the raffles we have run have generated over $5,000 for our charity. So once again, we'd like to thank you for your continued support and for the approval of our raffle license. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before you all go away, come on back. And could we set the camera so that the folks at home can see what the back of the t-shirt looks like? Yeah. So just to make sure that it'll be on camera. Is that a good spot for you?
What do you choose?
Okay, all good? All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. We will next move on to a presentation from SMART of the Smarter Mobility Program. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you for having us. Ms. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Daniel Whitehouse. I'm SMART's Vice President of Paratransit and On-Demand Services. As you know, a year or so ago, Oakland County went all opt-in the transit millage. So one of the things that SMART wanted to do during that time was look at our overall system of fixed routes, paratransit, and microtransit, which is our flex service. And we partnered with Michael Baker International, who we have a representative of with us tonight, to look at the overall system and where do the routes need to go. And what we did was created a few steering committees from different levels to get feedback from non-riders, but then we engaged in a number of public engagements to talk to riders and people who may not be riders, but future riders, to learn where do the buses need to go, how often do they need to go there. And so where we are right now is we're at the second public engagement session that's about to kick off in the next week, and we are going to take a few scenarios back to the public and ask them what do you need? We have one that's focusing on span of service, so how often do the buses run? And we have one that's focused on coverage. And we're looking to get feedback from everybody on, which is the best. So it's not 1 versus 2, it's going to be a blend of, this route would be beneficial if it ran this long, or this route would be beneficial if it extended. So we're looking at those blends. So we have a brief slideshow tonight, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions. So I'm going to turn over to Amy Wiles to present the slideshow.
Thank you. Do I bring up the slideshow or not?
All should be switching over.
Switching over.
We're going to stress the system.
There you go. You should be able to, do you have it there on the computer?
I guess, wait. Can we send it?
We did.
It's not. Here we go.
I don't.
Do you want to just give me, Paul, can you set me back up?
I'm sorry.
Not your fault, it's our system. I got it on their desktop.
We have help coming for you.
I'm sorry.
Where your presentation's at?
Jim, we emailed it?
I have it here. If you want to just kind of give me a thumbs up when you want me to go through the
that's fine.
slides, so he'll go back to my computer.
Sure. Sorry about that. While she's pulling it up, I am Amy Wiles. I am one of the consultants working on this project. It is the Smarter Mobility Program, as Danny mentioned. We've been working with SMART for about a year and a half now. You can go ahead. So what the Smarter Mobility Program is, it's, again, since Oakland County passed the millage, we're really evaluating the entire bus network. SMART provides over 8 million bus rides per year throughout their system in a 3-county region. You can go ahead. We've really been focusing on community and stakeholder engagement. That's particularly where me and my firm come in. We've really tried to reach out. We've ridden buses, we've collected surveys, we've attended community meetings like yours. We've stood at bus stops talking to people, intercept surveys, we've held public meetings. So really trying to get a handle in the first round of how people ride the bus and where they need to go and what they would like to see in the future. And then now, as Danny mentioned, we're in the second round where we're presenting 2 different scenarios. So this is just the project timeline. So we are in September. So we have about we're ending this second round of public engagement at the end of this month. So public comment will close on September 30th. And then we'll take back all the feedback. We'll develop a preferred network by the end of the year, and then we'll come back out next year and release that to the public to show what is proposed. And then at that point, work with SMART for a timeline for implementation of those recommendations. Just real quick, 2 of the main things that we learned through our engagement is reliability is one of the top things that we heard. People want to know that their bus is coming. Frequency is very important, that they want the bus to run more often, and then coverage, looking to expand SMART's coverage into Oakland County and other areas where it's not currently serving. So scenario 1 focuses on improving frequency. So there's a couple of new routes proposed. However, the primary goal of this network or this scenario was really to improve frequency. So the 5 fast routes would come every 20 minutes instead of every 30, with some of the high ridership routes coming every 30 minutes and the remaining coming about every 60 minutes. The second scenario focuses on increasing coverage. So in this scenario, we have 11 new routes proposed, as well as some new flex zones proposed. And so this is really where we looked at how can we expand coverage throughout the 3 counties where there's not currently service or there's under service. We also looked at the current flex zones, which you have one in Farmington Hills. And then we looked at some proposed changes to those flex zones and expansion to include new areas within those flex zones. So just real quick to cover some of the highlights of what is proposed that would impact Farmington Hills specifically. There is a new 350 route proposed along 8 Mile Road. There is the 710 and the 740 are proposed to be modified. One of the scenarios proposes,
Can you, when you're going through this, we don't know where those
I'm
routes
sorry,
are.
we can-
Can you say where they are in Farmington Hills? Like, for example, the 350 is a new one along 8 Mile. Thank you, but if it's existing, tell us what roads.
Okay, if you go to the next slide then, we actually have a map of each real quick. I know it's hard to see because it's a big service area, but this is the proposed 350 along 8 Mile Road.
So just to be clear, that 350 route that's being proposed starts at the very eastern end of Farmington Hills.
Correct.
Okay, so it's that much of Farmington Hills.
Correct. It's designed to connect it from like the flex zone and then service along 8 Mile Road over to like the Grosse Pointe area in Macomb County.
Thank you.
And this is proposed in scenario 2 in one of the expanded coverage zones. And the goal of this route would be to complement DDOT's 24-hour service that they have, but it would be the focus would be on, it'd be limited service, so it would be connecting to other SMART routes that run like north and south, as opposed to stopping everywhere. So it would be to connect people quicker to other SMART routes. The 710 is along 9 Mile Road, and we propose to extend this. It currently ends a couple miles east of Farmington Hills right now, Telegraph. Thank you, Danny. And so in both scenarios, we propose to extend it east to, again, kind of the edge of Farmington Hills in order to, again, make that connection for people, especially with the flex zone where they can ride. If you're familiar with the flex program that's here, it operates similar to Uber or Lyft, where people can call or reserve a ride. And so it would provide, again, a connection to that 710 9-mile route. The 740 is a current route of SMART's, and we are just, the only modification we're proposing is that it would actually just be cut in half and become 2 routes with the transfer required at Royal Oak. And it's just because it's about a 2.5-hour bus route from one end to the other. And so by cutting it into 2, it would give the operators a chance to get off, have a layover, go to the bathroom, and then also be able to make up any time if they were running late. We do propose in scenario 2 only the removal of some routes, and it's, in scenario 1. And again, it's that trade-off for frequency. It looks at removing some routes that are really low ridership and underperforming. So the 805, which is a Grand River Park and Ride route, that is one that's proposed to be removed. It has very low ridership. It averages about 16 boardings per day. So that is one of the routes. But I do want to stress at this point too, the reason we are really trying to do engagement at this point is to collect that input. And if people really feel strongly about you really like a proposed route or you really hate one of the proposed removed routes, to please let us know. That's the input that we really need at this point to be able to make a decision and tell SMART what they should do moving forward. So this is one of the proposed removed routes. And then the other proposed removed route is the 851, which is another park and ride route, meaning that those 2 run, they're basically they serve commuters, right? They only run a couple hours in the morning and a couple hours in the evening. Again, it has pretty low ridership, about 31 boardings per day. It's proposed to be removed in scenario 1.
This is the one at OCC?
Yes.
It
Oh,
is
yep.
worth knowing, just so, I don't know if Amy mentioned, but with all the routes that are proposed to be removed, there is an alternative. So in this, at the bottom, we put what the alternative service would be. So if this route is ended up, the recommendation is to be removed and it's supported, we're not leaving riders with no service. So we have just found that there's some levels of service that have multiple, maybe, duplications of service. So this would be keeping one that has a higher ridership while removing one that's low ridership to reallocate and to increase service on other routes or expand service. So,
Thank you, Danny.
I'm sorry, before you go on from that.
Oh, sure.
But you have talked with the folks at OCC because the Orchard Ridge campus is going through a major revamp of the service offerings they're going to be having.
Yes, we did meet with, I'm sorry.
So they're going to be having more people coming in from around the region because they're going to be targeting their offerings to health sciences and high tech and STEM.
Sure.
yeah, we have numerous conversations with them. It's where we actually keep our flex vehicles is on their property. So we have a big input there, but by cutting the 12-mile bus, one of the benefits of that is it'll improve the frequency just because, and the on-time performance, because we're not going that 2.5 hour. So that 741 would stay, and as you know, it goes directly through the campus. So you'll have more routes through the campus and more frequency. So I think that overall, that's going to play a bigger role for helping OCC.
Thank you.
You can go to the next one, sorry. And then, as hopefully you're all aware, you do have the Farmington Flex Zone. We are proposing to keep it. We're looking at making possibly some modifications to the boundaries, just looking at how to optimize service to improve response time. And so these are the proposed boundaries right now. I believe it's a little smaller than what's currently, what you currently have. It's just something that we're looking at is, again, a way to improve response time to keep it to 15 to 20 minutes when people are requesting a ride. So how to give input. As we said, we are still in round 2 engagement. We have a website. It is the smarter-mobility.org. And so we have all of the information that we presented tonight and more is on our website. We have videos that explain each of the new routes that kind of walk you through where they're going, why they were proposed, what they would connect to. We have a flip book that has those maps of each route and an explanation on the destinations, the connections. And then we also have surveys and other ways that you can provide online input. So I would encourage everybody to please check that out if you want to look at specific routes and provide any comments. We also have 3 in-person public meetings coming up this week. We will be in person tomorrow at Bloomfield Hills. On Wednesday, we will be in Romulus, and on Thursday, we will be in Shelby Township. Thank you. It's all running together in my head. And so those meetings are also advertised on our website. We also have 2 online meetings coming up. We have one on September 18th and one on September 24th. And again, we are attending the meeting tonight. Anyone, especially government, local municipal officials, if you're asking us, we'd love to come out to talk to people and make sure that you understand the impacts to your residents, your citizens, your community. And then we have an email address as well, so you can always email us any questions or comments. It's smartermobility@smartbus.org. And with that, we'll open to questions that you all have.
Questions?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. A couple of quick questions. So you mentioned there that the flex zone for Farmington Hills has been made smaller. So that's previously, I think it was the whole of Farmington Hills, and now it's maybe 12 mile and below or something like that. Could you give me some further comments as to what that means? I guess I'm trying to understand the difference between standard bus services and flex services, whether you're successful with the flex service in terms of it being efficient, and if so, why are we removing it for part of our city?
Sure. Do you want to answer that one?
So the decisions on altering the flex zone were based on ridership. So as you may or may not know, we devised or developed a dial-a-ride program back in 2014. So we have data for the last 10 years of where the ridership is. So the Michael Baker team had access to all that data through our vendor and analyzed the trip movement since, for as long as they could have within the zone, and found that the concentration was below 12 mile for ridership. What they did add was a little bit of to the east. They expanded to that zone, and then they went to the west to cover Meyer and I think Costco to open up some opportunities that currently riders don't have because those are outside your city limits. So one of the feedbacks that we're looking for is it right to shrink that? So the smaller the zone, obviously, the better turnaround. For those of you who know the service, it's like an Uber and a Lyft type. So you request a ride, the vehicle arrives. We like it to arrive within 15 minutes, but it's really about 20, 22 minutes. The smaller the zone, the better efficiency that can go. So what we're looking at is really having the zones concentrate on where the ridership has been, and looking at potential ridership. So when you look at what is north of 12 mile, is there potential for ridership to start to increase, or is it really remaining to the south of 12 mile? And that was their determination, that the ridership going forward would most likely be predominantly to the south of 12 mile.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question. Talking about the ridership, so in scenario 2, we're basically removing 2 bus services, 805 and 851, and they have average daily boardings of 16 and 31, which are very low ridership numbers, right? So I understand looking at removing those.
Yes.
Well, that opens up a question I think I often hear, which is understanding what is the ridership in general for the bus services that go through Farmington Hills. So the other buses that run through Farmington Hills, can you provide the average daily boardings for the other buses as well?
Yeah, we can provide it to you, of course.
Yeah, and obviously that's the average daily. Do you have some sense as well how that varies during the day as well? That's more difficult, I would think, to get.
We have to an extent, kind of the onboardings and deboardings of where, but that's limited, but we do range it by trips.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Could you provide that? I'd
Yeah,
be
we
interested.
can have our department provide that to
Thank
the
you.
council.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Champion?
Yes.
Ms. Bowler,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes, for those routes that are being reduced or eliminated in Farmington Hills, how are you going to communicate that to those set ridership? Are you putting information on the buses
That's a great question. So
What is your
right now, it's,
communication plans?
right, so right now, it's just a proposal, right? So it's the recommendation that based on the current ridership and that there is an alternative to them, we do a few things. We'll do this public engagement, we'll do another round of public engagement. So we have advertisements on our buses, letting people know about these opportunities. And then if the decision ultimately is the removal of a route, we have to go through what's called public hearings. So we actually have to hold the public hearing to deliver that to them before we can make any service changes. So we are talking a year plus before anything would be change of substance. And that's why we wanted to come tonight and why we're so active now is we want riders to come out. So our drivers are communicating. Our drivers are all aware of these scenarios, so they've been communicating to passengers of this is a proposed change, this is a proposed increase or decrease in service, and we're hoping that that really spurns a good turnout over this week and to the virtual meetings.
I know you had mentioned 3 public hearings, one, I think,
Tomorrow's in Bloomfield Hills,
Bloomfield.
Romulus on Wednesday, and then Shelby Township on Thursday.
3 areas.
Yeah.
Is there any intent to hold anything here in Farmington Hills? Some type of hearing, or not hearing, but focus group or study group or informational meeting?
So for this round, no, but when we come back out in the spring, again, when we come in the spring, we're going to ask people in essence, hey, did we get this right? And it's an opportunity for people to say, no, well, you didn't. This is what we missed, and this could need a change, right? So we're still going for another round of public engagement, and absolutely, we'd be happy to look at the opportunity of holding it somewhere in the city of Farmington Hills.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Bruce.
Is Novi still an opt-out community?
No, so as of November of 2022, all of Oakland County is opt-in.
That's right. So-
There are just different levels of service based on the needs, and that's why we brought in a consultant to look at, you have areas like Novi that have never had transit, but you have people who are moving out there now that transit is becoming available, and so we're seeing those shifts.
Yeah, because for the longest time, we were the end of the route
Right.
for a lot of this stuff. So there was always complaints and not a lot of people were riding it, but that didn't take into account that we were the end of the route or the beginning of the route. So you're not
Yes.
going to have a lot of people at the beginning
No.
or the end. And I was looking through your materials, and one of the things that I like was that the idea of more shelters and with maybe some sort of a system to tell people when maybe the next bus is, because with GPS and electronics and computers nowadays, I think that's should be an easy thing to do and a great idea because, keeping people comfortable and informed is going to, I think, make it an easier experience, and we still have a number of bus stops here in the city that don't have any kind of shelter around them.
Yes.
And, so I think if we're able to do that, it makes it a much more comfortable experience. So I'd like to see that be implemented.
So 2 things. One, the ridership to Wixom and Novi has been there since we launched those 2 routes.
Great.
Secondly, a separate study that SMART is doing is a bus shelter analysis. So we're looking at all of our 6,000 plus stops and looking at what amenities need to be at each stop. But more importantly, when stops start increasing in ridership, when does that trigger new amenities coming on, right? So that we're not just stuck in this, there's a pole and a bench, right? But as ridership starts picking up, now we see the ridership growth, we're adding in the shelter and new technologies and stuff like that, but it's a systematic trigger. So that's a different study that's going on, but that is another study that we are conducting.
Okay, thank you.
Also, in scenario 2, there is a proposed route for Novi and Wixom. I didn't mention it just because it's not specific to Farmington Hills, but there is a proposed route. One of the new routes is over there, and so we are looking to, again, expand service to kind of the west. And then there's also some additional proposed routes that are in northern Oakland County.
Ms. Knoll?
Yeah, so the 851, the one that might be eliminated in scenario 1, the alternative service is the 405 on Northwestern. Where's the park and ride for the 405 on Northwestern?
So Northwestern 405 is a local route, so it stops every third of a mile at a traditional stop. And it goes through, and then it would cause a connection. It doesn't go straight to Detroit. The park and ride, what it does is hit 1 or 2 spots and then just goes right to Detroit. So this would be more of a local service, but still provide a level of service for
Oh,
riders.
so if you did get rid of the park and ride, the one at OCC, the 851, the alternative service isn't a park and ride. It's not the
Correct.
quick, because that's why people like that one, because it's quick.
Yes.
You don't have all the stops.
Correct.
So the replacement one is the one that currently is offered that has a stop every, how often?
A third of a mile roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not one-to-one replacements, but we just wanted to make sure that there is still service, so you weren't just completely eliminating bus service. But the reason that those two routes, like I said, they're just two of the lowest. There's about 5 or 6 other additional routes that are also proposed for removal. They're just not specific to here. But they're, we've just looked at the lowest performing, lowest ridership. A lot of them have less than, 30 boardings a day, which is very low. So we're looking at, how can SMART better allocate their resources, especially in response to what we heard from the public, which was reliability and frequency being the top 2 things that are most important, right? They want to know their bus is coming, and that if they did miss it, that another one's coming sooner, right? That would make them ride it more. And so that's part of the reason for those proposed removal of routes is that trade-off, right? You can't serve everywhere. So if you want to increase frequency, the trade-off is losing some of the underperforming routes.
And I do want to mention in the other counties, the routes that are proposed for elimination are also park and rides. They tend to be the lower ridership, but in some cases, they're being replaced with new local routes, right? So in downriver, the replacement would be a fast service, so it stops every mile, but it goes all the way to the city of Detroit. And so that's kind of the feedback we're looking for is, we could have the public coming back and saying, we want a service that goes down Northwestern, hypothetically, into Detroit. It's okay if it stops every half mile or every mile. Those are the feedbacks that we still want from people. But majority of the cuts are going to be park and ride because you've seen a shift coming out of the pandemic of where riders are going. They're not going into the city like they used to with a lot of people working from home, or if they are going, they're not going with the same 5 days a week. So, yeah.
Okay, I have a few.
Okay.
So I have a little fast bus envy with my friends who live along Woodward. If somebody from Farmington, greater Farmington area, Farmington Hills, wanted to go downtown to go to a sporting or a cultural event or something, how do we get down there fast?
Currently?
Yes.
2 things.
Well, how do we currently and how will we?
Okay, so currently you could do 2 things. You could drive over to Woodward, you can park in my neck of the woods over there and just.
By then I'm there.
Exactly. Or you could go down Michigan Avenue. So right now there is not a direct solution other than the park and rides, which run down one way in the morning and come back in the afternoon. So if you want to go to a sporting event, there isn't there. We have not heard from the public that going to the city during evening events is a major priority for them. We heard the opposite. We heard more local within, the county, within the city, transportation needs. And so if that's a proposal, we would love to hear, where should it start and where should it end? The other thing you could do is with the 8-mile proposed route, that's going to be a kind of a faster route, stopping every mile. You could take 8 Mile across and connect to the Woodward at State Fair at the new transit center there and go down to Detroit. So your saving is, parking and all that, but in a proposal, that would be an alternative to get to the city too.
You can also take the 12-mile, right? The 740.
You can take 12 Mile across.
So you can take the 740.
To the transit center.
Correct.
Yeah. 8 Mile just is easier it's local, it's not local service, so it'll only stop every mile in this proposal. So you tend to get to the transit center a little bit faster. And then you don't have to park in Royal Oak either.
Same question, airport.
Yeah.
How do we go to the airport from Farmington community?
That's a great question. So you can take the Telegraph bus down right now, or the Grand River bus. So the Grand River will connect you and you can go through Wayne and you can get to the airport. It's about, I think, a 2 or 3 seat ride, but it's a pretty frequent ride and it runs 7 days a week.
So I can't really take a flex to something to.
No, so the goal of Flex is to move within the zone, but also to connect you in the first last mile scenario. So when you see areas that are not conducive for fixed routes, maybe they're not big enough for a 40-foot bus or there's not enough ridership, the Flex acts as we're going to take you in a quick manner to the next bus, and that's why we make it a same-day booking.
So let's move on to Flex. I let some folks in the community know that you were coming in tonight, so thank you very much, all four of you, for coming in this evening. And some feedback that people were very concerned about was they were told, well, Farmington Hills Flex is being eliminated. Under this proposal, Farmington Hills Flex is being reduced.
Correct, correct.
Now, here's my concern.
Yes.
Is we have a Monday through Friday transit system for our seniors and our people with disabilities.
Yes.
However, we need to tend to book that many days ahead of time, and it's full every single day.
Yes.
So if I am a senior or a person with a disability, and my doctor says they want to have an appointment with me the next day, our service will not be able to accommodate that because we're maxed. And so if I live up by where my house is, for instance, in the northern part of Farmington Hills, and need to go to a doctor and I'm not able to drive, I'm going to be iced out under scenarios.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that in view, we are having a senior wellness event on October 1st from 10 to 1 at the Costic Center.
Okay.
Would love for you to extend your public comment one more day to come on out and talk to the hundreds of seniors that are going to be showing up at that event.
We'd be happy to.
Okay, that would be great. Next item. I've had feedback from Corwell that they love that there's the bus service right in front of their facility.
Yep.
Problem is, if you are heading eastbound
Yep.
and you're let out on Grand River Avenue, you have to cross 6 lanes of traffic
Yes.
where there's no light
Yes.
for you to be able to cross safely.
Correct. Just
So-
like at the mall in Novi. We had
Right.
the same problem. Yeah.
So what are we gonna do to, because I promised them I would bring this up to you tonight.
Yes.
What are y'all gonna do to make sure that people who want to get off at the hospital, are employees or patients alike, are able to safely get into that campus?
So
What's the plan?
It's a plan to talk with this council and MDOT on how we can improve and make a safe crossing for them.
Or
So turning the
just pull in?
So turning the bus around is almost $40,000 or $50,000 because of the time lost. So that is what we actually explored for 12 Oaks Mall. Was the idea, is go up, do the turnaround. When we priced it out, the additional time, but then the extra buses that are needed to make up all that time, especially 7 days a week, was I think $50,000 or plus $1,000. And that was a barrier. So, one of the things that we need to look at, and we've talked to Oakland County and MDOT specifically about joint operations and how do we improve those infrastructures. And I think there's probably grant money out there that we could all look at to improve that. It is a very difficult scenario.
Yeah.
Because, I was a Farmington resident for a long time and we spent a lot of time there. I know how dangerous that is. There is no direct light. Everything is a turnaround or it's a far walk to come right back. If you're not feeling good, or in the winter months, if you're an employee, it can be unsafe to do all of that.
Right.
So I think that, that is a coordination event that SMART is happy to have with our planning team, City Council, and MDOT if that's necessary, or your planning team.
And Corwell.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a conversation that needs to be had, because I hear you, $50,000 feels like a lot of money until there's one accident and one injured person.
Absolutely, yes. And honestly, it's not necessarily the $50,000 is the biggest deal, right? But it's when we add vehicles there and we have to take them away from somebody else, if there's a better solution, we'd like to explore the better solution.
Okay. Oh, if we could put that on the list for conversation, that would be
Absolutely.
lovely. Okay, and last item, it should be really an easy one. When I look at 12 Mile Road,
Yes.
we have benches along 12 Mile Road. And you go past them and think, isn't this a great spot for somebody who wants to take a bus to sit on the bench and wait? However, the bench is here and the stop is here. who all needs to partner up to put the benches and the stops at the same place?
It's a coordination between SMART and MDOT, depending on the right-of-way and who we have to coordinate with. I can have our planning team look at those stops, with 6,000, I'll be just honest, that, sometimes they get missed, and we're happy to look at that.
That's county, right? 12 Mile, county?
That's county road.
County, yeah, so,
All right,
okay.
that's all.
Any other questions?
Anybody?
Just a comment. Just wanted to say thank you for your presentation. I know I want to just echo the comments made by Councilmember Bruce. We were on council at a time when there were a lot of opt-out communities. I'm glad that no longer exists, and the fact that we do have this some uniformity now in regards to everybody receiving services. You are linking up also with other county mobility services too, like Monroe, Washtenaw County. Are you doing some interconnections there between those groups too?
So,
Wayne County?
Yeah, so Wayne County, yes, not Washtenaw or Monroe yet. I know that that's, the RTA helps with some of those levels. Our focus right now is just how do we improve service in the network that we already serve.
Excellent. And SMART right now, have you received additional funding? I thought there was some increase in funding for SMART that occurred in the last 2-3 years. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, so Oakland County now receives or obtains all of the money and then disperses it based on the provider's need. So we submit our budget needs based on our service levels to Oakland County, and they provide the funding to SMART on that level.
Excellent. And I like the fact you continue to evaluate, as you did today, additional changes in your services in order to accommodate what the demands are and the needs are in the service area, which is critically important. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I will make one last comment back to you, Mayor. One of the things that we look at in terms of flex is, there's a potential that on the weekends, you have a different flex zone for seniors than you do during the week. So that is a possibility that we can explore with the Michael Baker team and with the seniors at that center is we can, if it's not in the presentation, we can still have those discussions on, maybe the zone is one set up Monday through Friday because we're complementing the community partnership program, but on the weekends when that's not in service, we have something different.
Sure.
So be happy to look at that as well.
That'd be great. And, there are just a lot of people who don't drive.
There are, yes.
And so Flex is a wonderful service. And just following up on Mr. Aldred's comment about looking for some Farmington Hills related numbers, that would be great.
Absolutely, yes. We'll have our planning team and other teams get them to you as quickly as possible.
Super.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very robust conversation. We
Yes.
we appreciate your comment tonight.
No, thank you for
very
having
much.
us.
You're welcome.
If you guys could just share with everybody our website and the opportunities, I would appreciate it to encourage people to tell us what they like, what they don't like. It's the only way that we know if we're getting it right or not.
Okay.
So
As
thank
well
you
as
for
all
having
of you,
us.
please.
We have an amazing communications team, and we will ask them to do same. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
This then takes us to correspondence. Any members of council have correspondence they would like to share? Mr. Aldred.
Yeah, I received an email around reduced hours at the pool at the Hawk, and I'd also received some other comments from the community as well around that, and thank you to the city manager for giving feedback on that, and I just wanted to acknowledge that there's a concern that, but I understand the issue is to do with the availability of part-time staff and lifeguards, and that's not something that's unique to Farmington Hills. So I thank you, City Manager, for the response on that, and obviously continue to keep pursuing how we might be able to change that, restore those hours in the future. I think will be appreciated. So I just wanted to pass on that comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have correspondence they would like to share? Okay, that then takes us to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine, administrative, or non-controversial by the City Council and will be enacted typically in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agreement or consent agenda for consideration. They will be read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 8, recommend approval of a resolution recognizing Arms Open with Love Foundation as a nonprofit organization operating in the community for the purpose of obtaining a charitable gaming license. Item 9, recommend approval of a special event permit for the Farmington Community Library extravaganza to be held on Sunday, September 15, 2024. Item 10, recommended approval of adoption of the 2023 Oakland County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Item 11, recommended approval of setting a public hearing date on October 14, 2024 for the vacation of Rexwood Street, Melforton Street from Greening Street to Highview Avenue, and a portion of Forsum Road east of Greening Street in Section 2. Item 12, recommend approval award of contract for the Wood Creek Hill Subdivision Culverts Replacement Project to Superior Contracting Group in the amount of $3,590,534.27. Item 13, recommend approval of award for consultant for the corridor study for 12 Mile Road and Orchard Lake Road to Community Attributes Incorporated in the amount of $149,000. Item 14, recommended approval of purchase and training of 2 canines for the police department to Shallow Creek Kennels Incorporated in the amount of $18,000 and Oakland Community College Patrol Dog Academy in the amount of $10,000. Item 15, recommended approval of purchase of fleet vehicles with Longhammer Ford for 11 vehicles in the amount of $550,785. Todd Winslow Buick GMC for 4 vehicles in the amount of $142,735, and Berger Chevrolet for 8 vehicles in the amount of $403,540. Item 16, recommend approval of award of bid for the purchase of 1 10-yard dump truck chassis to Wolverine Freightliners in the amount of $148,544. Item 17, recommend approval of award of bid for the generator maintenance contract to Alcona Controls Incorporated in the amount of $12,125 for 1 year with approved extensions. Item 18, recommended approval of contract for snow and ice control and anti-icing fluid to Chloride Solutions and to liquid calcium chloride sales in the amount not to exceed the annual budget amount with approved extensions. Item 19, recommended approval of the City Council study session meeting minutes on August 12, 2024. Item 20, recommended approval of the City Council regular meeting minutes of August 12, 2024.
Thank you. Ms. Boulware.
Yes, Mayor. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items 8 through 19 as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Support. Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Council members Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
And yes,
Another motion.
We do.
we need a second motion. Just through 19.
Okay, okay, that's what I thought, just double checking. Okay, so I will make a motion to approve item 20, the recommended approval of the City Council regular meeting minutes of August 12, 2004.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Motion and support. This is also a roll call vote.
Council members Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Abstain.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is council member comments and announcements. And while we're getting ready to do those, oh, yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you removed item 7 from the
Yes.
consent agenda.
we did.
And I think on your agenda that consent agenda items for discussion came next after consent agenda. So if you wouldn't mind stepping back to consider item 7.
Certainly. Well, we removed it from the agenda totally.
Yes.
Oh, it was removed from, I thought it was just removed
No,
from.
it was
consent.
removed from the agenda totally because Wood Creek Elementary is going to be okay for the election.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Well, then
It
I'm
was-
glad
it
I
was for a good-
misunderstood.
It was for a good, so for the public paying attention to what was on the agenda, we removed the item moving the Wood Creek polling place because Wood Creek's going to be ready in time for the election. And thank you to Farmington Public Schools for their partnership. Okay. Now we'll move on. But just a heads up for anyone who is in attendance, who is interested in providing public comment. When it becomes time for public comment, we'll ask anyone speaking to please submit a blue card, that those are in the back of the room, and provide those to the clerk if you would like to speak tonight. And next, we are going to council member comments and announcements. Anyone have something to say? Mr. Aldred, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, just as a reminder, this Wednesday is September the 11th, and I wanted to remind people that there is the 23rd Annual Patriots Day ceremony in downtown Farmington at the Riley Park, where the American Legion Police Officer and Firefighter of the Year will be awarded. I always enjoy that event, so I encourage members of the public to join that. I see Gary smiling. Perhaps he was going to announce that one as well, but okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other, yes, Ms.
Yes.
Bullower.
I'd like to remind everyone of the library extravaganza on Sunday, September 15th at the 12 Mile Library location from 1 to 5. They're going to have food trucks, live music, curling, games, and giveaways. And also, as a special event, they're also going to be accepting donated seeds, because we have a seed library at our 12 Mile location, in which you can come in and get seeds, grow them, and harvest them, throughout the season. And you simply put your seed in an envelope. They'll have labels. You can label what the seed is for, and then put that in the seed box. I also like to make a special notice for the First African Methodist Episcopal Church of Farmington Hills, in which they are celebrating their 9th anniversary. So I'd like to say congratulations to Pastor Patricia Coleman Burns, for that achievement.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. I just want to report to council, to the public, that as you know, the council stood up a committee called the Vision Committee for the city future. And the mayor and I met with the city manager and assistant city manager to discuss the mission, the vision, and goals, specifically developing a scope of services in order to request a proposal for a qualified consultant. So I just want to report to council that this committee is up and running in regards to the Vision Committee, and that the mayor and I did meet with the city manager and city manager to discuss the scope, and we look forward to further reports to council on what we'll be doing regarding that. And we also have the copy of the resolution that was passed by council that stood up this committee that we'll be adhering to, okay? So thank you for that, and we'll keep you abreast of future meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dwyer, would you like to share about the golf outing?
Sure. The Farmington Hills Police Fire Benevolent Association had their 30th annual police outing, golf outing, at the Links of Novi this past Friday. 30 years, it was a great event, 30 years, no rain, but the little background on the Farmington Hills Police Fire Benevolent Association, it started, as I said, 30 years ago with the death of Officer Bert Cook and Sergeant Gary Bradley, both married, both had 2 young children. Myself, at that time Judge Harris and John Giannopoulos, got together and we came up with a way that we felt we could help the families as far as health care, education, so we started the golf outing then. Since then, we've given out close to $1 million to officers, fire department officers and police officers in the Tri-County area. So we're very, very happy about that. Just recently, with the death of the deputy from the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, as you recall, he was married, 4 children, 1 on the way. We're able to give him $5,000, his widow, and the family. So it's a great organization, and it's done a great job. Both Chief Unruh and Chief King are part of the organization. I want to thank them, and also the volunteers that worked at the Links of Novi. We had a shotgun start at 10 a.m. and it went till about 6 p.m. with a silent auction. So it's a big event. It's a big deal to help out the men and women in blue and the firefighters, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make one comment.
Yes, please.
Just wanted to recognize the chief and the city council member, Dwyer for his years of service on this organization. I know that you were one of the leading individuals that helped stood up this organization, and that your steadfast support for our men in blue is admirable. And I just want to say thank you for your leadership. And that's the reason why you're an asset on this council, because of the fact you have that background being our former police chief, and then also the fact that you're a lifelong resident of long-time resident of Farmington Hills. So appreciate your standing at the organization, and then how successful it has been in helping these families that suffer the ultimate sacrifice of.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I have a few things to share this evening. First, huzzah, 11 Mile Road is finally open, and it was such a joy to drive it here today. Should you drive 11 Mile Road and come by campus, you will see teal ribbons attached to the trees on campus. September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and my mother is a survivor of ovarian cancer and very, very fortunate to still be alive at 85 years old. But I appreciate that as a city, we have always recognized this. So that is why you'll see the teal ribbons around campus. Last meeting, we approved a permit for an event at Nissan, their Cars and Coffee on a Saturday morning, which was a beautiful day, a fantastic event, and a lot of fun. So congratulations to Nissan on that. And, you know, we have just the most wonderful people who live in this city, and I would like to highlight one by the name of Mary Bonner. Mary Bonner had an aortic aneurysm, which is something that kills a lot of people. She survived this very large aortic aneurysm and took that ability of a second chance to do some work and fundraising. And so she has an event coming that is going to be before our next council meeting, so we won't have a chance to do a proclamation, but want to recognize that she's having a walk on Saturday, September 21st. People register at 8:45 a.m., starts at 9. It'll be at Ascension Providence Hospital on Grand River in Novi. So that is a fundraiser for aortic aneurysm awareness. Also, a congratulations to Friendship Circle for an incredibly successful walk for friendship this year. And I know their goal was to bring in $1 million, and I'm thinking they got at least that, from what I've heard. And then finally, wasn't that fun getting a text message at 3:45 this morning, letting us know that the non-emergency police phone lines were down. And so wanted folks to know what was going on with that. So basically, this is an ongoing issue that's being worked on by both AT&T, that provides the circuit, and Telnet Mattel, who's the manufacturer of our phone equipment. And the long and the short of it is it's systems talking to each other. We had some AT&T upgraded and replaced their circuit and router switch, and Mattel upgraded and replaced their router switch in order to address the issue. And you'll note, up until very, very recently, we quit getting all of these notices about the non-emergency phone lines being down. Well, the latest findings are that there's something in the programming that I will not understand if I study it for the next 10 years. So I'll give you the high-level view, is that it's been an ongoing challenge that we are continuing to work to address, and something about network switches malfunctioning. So some engineer, please explain that to me too. But just letting you know, we are working on it, and as well as the protocol for do we send text messages at 3:45 in the morning for this issue. So just wanted to let people be aware. And with that, it takes us to our city manager update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, council. I was going to tell everybody about 11 Mile Road, but you stole my thunder.
There.
I just want to let public know, we're receiving, continue to receive concerns, comments about the sci-fi installation. That's an ongoing issue across the city where they're working. We're dealing with those complaints as best we can with sci-fi and their underground contractor. Along with those problems, we continue to have some service hiccups and interruptions with our rubbish hauling contractor, Priority Waste. The upshot is we're not as bad as most. I guess that's a good thing to be happy about, but it still isn't up to snuff, and they're working through those operational issues. And then real quick, save the date. The Farmington Hills Open House is Saturday, October 5th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. right here on the City Hall campus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That then takes us to unfinished business. Item 6, consideration of payment for diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting to Life's Journey. And is there a motion?
Yes, you have a discussion, you said motion first. We're going to.
Do we want to have any discussion, or do we want
We're
to,
gonna move.
let's go with the motion, and then we'll discuss from the motion.
Okay, we'll go for the motion. Council, I move to approve the city manager in conjunction with the city attorney's office to negotiate a final payment on the DEI contract in the amount which does not exceed the amount determined by the city manager to be reasonable and which in no case will exceed the current billing. That's the motion, Madam Mayor, I'm making to council today, and that's basically it.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Is there discussion? Yes, Mr. Dwyer.
I'm not going to support this motion, even though the amount has not been listed. It was on the agenda for $200,600. During my discussion in the study session, I indicated that I would have voted for the $109,600. I would have supported that, but for the records, I cannot support the other $90,000.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, this is a roll call vote.
Council members Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
No.
Knoll,
Yes.
and Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This then takes us to, we have no additions to the agenda. And so this then takes us to public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. We've received 2 people wishing to provide public comment this evening. First one being Angie Smith, please. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm wearing 3 hats tonight. The first one is I hold a meeting here every 4th Wednesday of the month. And I want to tell you that this is with people throughout the Tri-County community. I want to thank you for a beautiful building. The people that came here, I actually want to charge them for a tour because they went through here and they went all the way through and they couldn't believe this was a city council chambers. And they said, Farmington Hills got money like that? I said, no, we broke. But I want to tell you, thank you for a beautiful building and everybody, and I didn't collect money, just for the record. But it is a beautiful building and I'm proud to be a member of Farmington Hills and your building. Second hat, I also want to thank former Chief Dwyer, Chief King, and Chief Unruh. For the past couple of months, we have heard what has been happening throughout the country, whether it's gun violence with students, whether it's things that are happening in the Tri-County area. And I am honored to say that we have one of the best police forces and fire departments here. Now, hat number 3. Thank you all for supporting us with that fire that took place at Wood Creek Elementary. and the support that we have gotten from the city of Farmington Hills and working with us to make sure our students got there safe, and that you're working to make sure everything is done. Although we're the ones that was getting the emails, but you all did a great job with working with us. Also, as a school board member, we got to work together. And we are under new leadership. Our current interim superintendent has had a conversation with one of your colleagues, and we are looking forward to rebuilding that relationship. We all know that was not at any of you all's expense. I want to apologize again for us not having that relationship, but we will be back together again. We will be working with you again under new leadership with Dr. Kelly Coffin and our board president, Terry Weems. We have to understand that if our schools fail, our cities fail. So I want to thank you all, and looking forward to having our next meeting when that comes. But again, thank you for having a beautiful building. And if I do charge admission, the money will come to here. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. And the other one we have is Keith Harris, please.
How you doing today? I haven't been here in a while, but I love this building myself. But I'm here today to talk about law enforcement. I work a lot with law enforcement in Detroit. My wife started another organization, and over 600 African-American women answered the call to this particular organization to work in Farmington, Southfield. Now, I know Farmington Hills Police Chief worked closely with the Southfield Police Chief, but we have an individual that frequently tells white officers that black men are threatening and are a danger and threatening. She frequently says, oh, I have 2 homes, one in Farmington and one in Southfield. I don't know what the problem is with this particular individual thinking that she's some sort of ranking officer in Farmington Hills or Southfield, but I find this to be definitely a threat to African-American men to put a target on our backs. I have sons in Southfield. I have grandsons in Southfield. In Farmington and in Southfield. This is going to turn into a big issue because our other organization is Men Hurt Too. We want people to understand we don't want anyone damaging the relationship that we're trying to build as black men with the police department. We don't want to be afraid of an officer because they're white. We want to feel safe. We want to feel respected. But when an individual say, the police department is mine, the fire department is mine, that's pretty psychotic. We all pay into these taxes for these law enforcement officers. And I'm gonna tell you something, I met some wonderful cops, white cops in Farmington Hills. I refuse to believe that they would hurt someone if they did, other than in the line of duty, something that they had to do. But to have an individual tell police officers that we are a threat, I've heard her say this on the radio, I've heard her say this in person, I witnessed her tell 3 white cops this, and I should have took the pictures of these 3 white cops when I heard this. But like I said before, we have an opportunity to mend some fences in Farmington Hill, in Southfield, in Oakland County. Let's not destroy a relationship that we're trying to restructure. We know what's going on in other states and other, around this country. You can't help but to see it. But we have an opportunity to change this. I'm saying to this individual and this council, I don't care if she got a home in Farmington, I don't care if she got a home in Southfield, you have no power. You have no power. You're not.
Thank you, sir. That's time.
Thank you.
Okay, that is the end of the blue slips I have for this evening. Next item, city attorney report. Ms. Marita?
No, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. And there being no further business to bring before this council, we are adjourned. Good night, Farmington Hills. We'll see you September 23rd.